Today, we are diving into something huge: public trust. You can think of it as the invisible glue that holds our society together. But for a lot of people, it feels like that glue is starting to come apart. So let's get into why that's happening and, more importantly, what we can actually do about it. I mean, have you ever had that feeling? You pay your taxes, you try to follow the rules, but you just get this nagging sense that the very institutions that are supposed to serve you, well, they might be serving someone else. That feeling, right there, is the sound of public trust eroding. So what even is public trust when we get right down to it? Basically, it's our shared belief that institutions are going to do the right thing, that they'll act ethically and for the good of all of us. This is often called the social contract. It's like this unwritten deal. We agree to participate and play by the rules, and in return, the state promises to be fair, competent, and open about what it's doing. Okay, so to really understand where things are going wrong, we first have to get a clear picture of what it looks like when things are going right. What does a government that you can actually trust look like? It really breaks down into these four key pillars. First up is integrity. Pretty simple. We need to believe that officials are being honest. Second, competence. I mean, things just have to work, right? From fixing the roads to handling a crisis. Third, transparency. We have to be able to see what they're doing and why they're doing it. And finally, fairness. This one is huge. The rules have to apply to everyone, equally, no exceptions. So, what happens when that social contract gets broken? Well, those four pillars we just talked about, they're showing some pretty serious cracks. Let's look at the three big reasons why that trust is falling apart. The first major crack is this feeling that all the important decisions are being made behind closed doors, and not for the public good, but to benefit a handful of insiders. This is a direct assault on that pillar of transparency. And look, this isn't just some vague feeling people have. It's fueled by real stuff. When we can't see who's paying an official, or when we can't even get basic data on how our tax money is being spent, of course we're going to suspect the worst. And when a really important job goes to a political buddy instead of an actual expert, it starts to feel less like a public service and a lot more like a private club. The second crack goes right to the heart of that pillar of fairness. It's this growing feeling that the system is just fundamentally rigged, that it treats people differently based on who they are, where they happen to live, or how much money is in their bank account. And you can see this play out everywhere. When one neighborhood has beautiful parks and great schools, and just a few miles away the infrastructure is crumbling, trust just shatters. When your zip code basically determines your access to good healthcare, that social contract feels totally broken. And when institutions refuse to even acknowledge, let alone fix, injustices from the past, that distrust just gets passed down from one generation to the next. And the third major crack? This one might be the most frustrating of all. It's the massive gap between what leaders promise us and what they actually deliver. This is a total attack on that pillar of competence. You know the drill. A politician runs on these bold, amazing reforms, they get elected, and then crickets. Nothing really changes. Or a huge new program gets announced at a big press conference, but a year later it's completely fizzled out. This trust gap just gets wider and wider every single time their words don't match their actions. Okay, I know these ideas can feel a little abstract. So let's bring it down to earth and look at how this all plays out in one of the most critical institutions we have, the justice system. Because this is where a breakdown of trust can get really, really personal. This really lays out the two sides of the coin perfectly. On the left, you've got the ideal, right? What justice should be: equal, neutral, accessible to everyone. But on the right, that's the reality for way too many people. A system where it feels like your income determines your outcome, where fines and fees seem more about making money for the city than about actual justice. And this quote just says it all. A system that ties freedom or outcomes to income is perceived as unjust. Let that sink in. When one person can afford to post bail and walk free, while another person has to sit in jail for the exact same minor offense just because they're poor, the system doesn't just seem unfair, it is unfair. And an experience like that can destroy a person's trust for good. All right, that was a lot of bad news, I know. But here's the thing, it is not hopeless. The good news is that trust, even when it's broken, can be rebuilt. But it doesn't just happen. It takes a real, deliberate, actionable plan. A blueprint, if you will. So the blueprint comes down to three incredibly powerful steps, and each one is a direct answer to the problems we've been talking about. First, be radically transparent. This is the antidote to that secret and self-serving problem. It means putting budgets, data, everything online for everyone to see. Second, be actively inclusive. This directly tackles that feeling that the system is unequal and unfair. It's about governing with people, not just at them, creating things like community boards that have real power. And third, be fiercely accountable. This is how you fix broken promises. It means when something goes wrong, you can't just sweep it under the rug. You have citizen oversight and public audits to make sure there are real consequences. So after going through the problem and digging into the solutions, what's the single most important thing to remember about all of this? What's the final takeaway? Here it is. Trust isn't some policy you can just pass. It's not a box you can check off. It is not granted by default. It has to be earned, day in and day out through every single interaction, every decision. It's a relationship, and just like any relationship, it needs constant work. And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. This isn't just a big, abstract idea about government. It's about you. So think about it for a second. If your local city council or a federal agency wanted to truly earn your trust, what is the one thing they would absolutely have to do? Because the answer to that question, that's where real change actually begins.